He wasn't supposed to be the hero that day, but fate doesn't warn its chosen ones. A bullet meant for the CEO, a single dad who didn't hesitate, and a company that would never be the same. Some men save lives, but only a few pay the price for it. He stepped into the line of fire, not knowing the real danger waited afterward. When he collapsed, everyone gasped. But the real shock came when he opened his eyes. Rain hammered down on the glass roof of Helios Corporation's grand entrance as employees rushed inside for shelter. It was supposed to be a normal morning, boring meetings, endless planning, the usual whispers about the cold-hearted CEO who never smiled at anyone. But for R.I.'s Malik, a security guard and single father of a 6-year-old girl, today already felt different. He sensed at the moment he stepped onto the marble floor. Maybe it was the storm, or maybe it was the heaviness in his chest, like life was holding its breath. R.I.'s walked with calm, steady steps, monitoring the lobby with trained eyes. He wasn't just a guard. He was a former army medic who left the service after his wife died, leaving him to raise little Hania alone. Every move he made, every breath he took, it was for her. Her doctor visits, her school fees, her little dreams. He tightened his grip on the radio clipped to his vest. He had learned one truth in life: danger doesn't announce itself. Upstairs on the top floor, CEO Zaiden Halim, the youngest and coldest billionaire in the city, was preparing to enter the lobby for a rare all-staff meeting. Rumors said he hated crowds. Rumors also said he had enemies everywhere. Those rumors were about to scream into reality. Our eyes scanned the room one more time, and that's when he saw him. A man in a dark coat, standing too stiff, too tense, too focused on one door. The CEO's entrance. Our eyes' instincts flared like a warning siren. His heartbeat slowed the way it used to back on battlefields. He didn't blink, didn't breathe. The man's hand dipped inside his coat. Our eyes moved. The elevator dinged, and CEO Zaiden stepped out with his signature icy expression. Staff bowed. Executives greeted him nervously. He didn't look left or right. He didn't see the danger. But our eyes did. Time shattered into slow motion. The man in the coat pulled out a gun, the long, metallic shine unmistakable. A gasp rippled through the lobby. Someone screamed. Our eyes didn't think, didn't hesitate, didn't care that he had a daughter waiting for him at home. He sprinted. Get down, he roared. The gun fired. A single thunder shot. People ducked, papers flew, glass trembled. Our eyes lunged in front of the CEO, pushing him down just as the bullet tore through the air and slammed into our eyes' chest. His body jerked. A dull, burning shock spread through his ribs. The world blurred. He hit the floor. Blood bloomed on his uniform, spreading like a crimson flower. Chaos erupted instantly, screams, running feet, terrified cries. But all of it sounded far away. Zaiden, the CEO known for his emotionless heart, froze in place for the first time in his life. His eyes widened at the sight of the man who saved him. A man he barely noticed in the building. A man who just risked everything. Our eyes, the CEO whispered, stunned. Our eyes tried to stay conscious. He forced a shaky smile. Sir, you're safe. That's what matters. His breath hitched. The pain pierced deeper. Stay with me, Zaiden ordered, not coldly, not like a boss, but like a man shaken to his core. Someone call an ambulance. More blood spilled. The attacker was captured by other guards, but the damage was done. Arai's vision dimmed as he whispered one name. Hania. The CEO froze. The name felt like a punch. This man, the one lying in a puddle of his own blood, was a father. A single father. Zaiden's throat tightened, a rare, raw panic burning inside him. He knelt beside Arai's. For the first time in his life, he didn't care about his expensive suit, the blood staining it, or the crowd watching. Who is Hania? He asked quickly. My daughter. Arai's breathed, voice breaking. Zaiden's jaw clenched. Where is she now? Arai's fingers trembled. He tried to speak, but his lungs failed him. He coughed, and more blood stained his lips. Paramedics rushed in, but Arai's eyes were closing. Zayden leaned close, gripping his shoulder firmly. "You saved my life," he said quietly, voice trembling with something unrecognizable. "Now I'll save yours, and I'll protect your daughter. I swear it." Our eyes collapsed into unconsciousness. Zayden stood, drenched in rain, blood, and shock, as paramedics lifted the man who saved him onto a stretcher. The lobby was silent. Nothing would ever be the same. Not for the company. Not for the CEO. Not for the little girl waiting for her father to come home. Because the bullet was only the beginning. Saving the CEO was the easy part. Surviving what came after was the real battle. The bullet brought him to the hospital, but it was the truth waiting outside that could destroy everything. When a hero falls, the world watches. But when a father fights to return, fate tests him harder. The company whispered about the incident. Only one man knew the storm had just begun. The hospital corridors smelled of disinfectant and fear. Nurses ran back and forth, doctors shouted orders, and the storm outside beat against the windows like angry fists. But CEO Zayden Halim stood frozen. He had faced hostile boardrooms, billion-rupee deals, and enemies in the shadows, but none of that prepared him for the sight of Ari's Malik, the man who took a bullet for him, disappearing behind emergency room doors. Blood still stained Zayden's shirt. His hands wouldn't stop trembling.
Why?
Why would a man, a father, throw himself into danger without a second thought? Zayden pressed his palm to his forehead, fighting the chaos inside. He wasn't used to feeling this helpless. A security chief approached cautiously. "Sir, the attacker has been taken into custody." He said the target was. "I know who the target was," Zayden snapped, voice harder than steel. "Find out who sent him." "But sir, the police are already." "I said find out." The chief swallowed. No one argued with that tone. Zayden turned back toward the emergency room doors. He couldn't leave. Not until he knew the truth about the man who saved him. Not until he knew if he would live. Across the city, in a tiny rented room with peeling paint and flickering lights, little Hania sat on the floor, drawing with broken crayons. She hummed softly, a quiet, innocent melody that filled the small space. She didn't know what happened. She didn't know the storm crashing toward her tiny world. Her teacher had dropped her home after school, smiling and telling her, "Your Baba must be working late today." Hania smiled back. Her Baba always came home late. But he always came home. She didn't know that tonight he might not. At the hospital, the emergency room doors finally swung open. A doctor in green scrubs stepped out, his face pale with exhaustion. Zayden moved forward instantly. "How is he?" The doctor sighed. "We removed the bullet, but the damage was severe. He lost a lot of blood. We're doing everything we can." "Will he survive?" Zayden demanded, voice low and tight. The doctor hesitated. The one thing Zayden hated most. "We can't say for sure yet." Zayden's jaw clenched. The doctor walked away, leaving him drowning in frustration he had no control over. He dragged a hand through his hair, breathing hard. He remembered how our eyes whispered one last word before collapsing.
Hania. A child.
A daughter. Zayden pulled out his phone and made a call. "Find his address. Now." His assistant, startled, stammered. "Right away, sir." 20 minutes later, Zayden was standing in a dimly lit hallway of a rundown apartment building. Paint peeled off the walls, wires hung loose, and the smell of dampness and old smoke clung to the air. A billionaire CEO had no business being here. But tonight wasn't about status. Tonight was about the man who bled for him. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again, louder this time. Finally, the door opened a crack, and a pair of big brown eyes blinked up at him. A little girl in mismatched clothes, holding a crayon in one hand and a half-drawn picture in the other. Zayden froze. "You must be Hania," he said softly. She nodded shyly. "Who are you?" He knelt down to her height, something he had never done with anyone in his staff. "I'm a friend of your father." Her tiny face lit up. "Baba? Is he okay?" "He didn't come home." Zayden's chest tightened painfully. She stepped closer. "Did he get hurt at work again?" He sometimes comes home with scratches, but he always smiles. Zayden swallowed, struggling for words. Hania, your father is very brave. He saved someone today. Her eyes widened. Really? Baba is a hero? Yes, Zayden whispered, throat thick. A hero. The bravest I've ever seen. She smiled proudly, a soft, innocent smile that cut him deeper than any bullet. But then, her smile faded. Is he coming home tonight? Zayden couldn't lie to her. Not this child. Not when her father was fighting for every heartbeat. He shook his head slowly. Hania's little hands tightened around her crayon. Can I see him? Zayden hesitated. She was so small, so fragile. The hospital was loud, chaotic. But he had promised our eyes. I'll protect your daughter. He nodded.
Yes.
I'll take you to him. She ran inside and grabbed a worn-out stuffed rabbit. The ears torn, the fabric faded. He sleeps better when I give him Mr. Bun Bun, she said softly. Zayden almost broke. He lifted the little girl into his arms, awkwardly at first, as if she were made of porcelain. But she curled against him naturally, trusting him instantly. Trust he wasn't sure he deserved. By the time they reached the hospital, the storm had calmed outside, but inside, another storm was waiting. The receptionist frowned. Sir, children aren't allowed inside ICU. Zayden cut her off. Tonight she is. One look at his cold, authoritative eyes, and the woman stepped back. Hania held onto his hand tightly as they approached the room where her father lay unconscious. She stopped suddenly. Is Baba sleeping? She whispered. Zayden's voice softened.
He's resting.
But he needs you. She nodded bravely and stepped forward, her stuffed rabbit clutched against her chest. When they entered the room, the sight of our eyes, pale, motionless, wires attached to his body, made Zayden inhale sharply. But Hania didn't cry. She climbed onto the chair and placed the stuffed rabbit gently beside her father's hand. Baba, she whispered. I'm here. Zayden felt something shift inside him. Something he didn't recognize. A responsibility. A promise. A debt he couldn't repay. Because when our eyes took that bullet, he didn't just save the CEO. He unknowingly tied their fates together. And Zayden was about to discover that the real enemy was inside his own company. Heroes bleed once, but the consequences bleed forever. When the CEO dug deeper, the truth didn't scare him, it enraged him. A bullet was just the beginning. The real danger was still inside the building.
He saved the CEO.
Now the CEO must save everything he left behind. Some enemies shoot from the shadows. Others smile from boardroom tables. The lights in the ICU blinked softly, casting pale shadows across the room. Machines beeped in slow, rhythmic tones, each one a reminder that Arai's Malik was teetering between life and eternity. Little Hania sat on the edge of the bed, holding her father's hand gently, whispering stories about her day, the way she would if he were awake. Her voice was soft, trembling, but strong in that brave way only a child could manage. CEO Zayden Halim stood near the door, watching her. He had seen hostile takeovers, corporate betrayals, and cruel negotiations, but tonight, nothing compared to the heartbreak of watching a little girl try to wake her father with hope alone. Sir, came a voice behind him. It was his assistant, Rafiq, holding a tablet. He looked nervous.
We found something.
Zayden's expression hardened. Show me. Rafiq hesitated, glancing at the child. Maybe we should step outside.
No.
Zayden's voice was cold steel. I'm not leaving them alone. Rafiq swallowed and handed the tablet over. Security footage played, grainy clips from the lobby. At first, it was the same chaos. The attacker.
The gun.
Arai's impossible bravery. But then, Rafiq tapped another file. This is from the basement garage, an hour before the shooting. Zayden leaned in. A black car pulled in. Tinted windows. Expensive. Too expensive for an average visitor. The attacker stepped out of the car. And then someone else stepped out behind him. A man in a designer suit. Face hidden by a cap. But the posture, the shoes, the watch. Zayden's breath froze in his throat. That watch, he said slowly. Zoom in. Rafik obeyed. A sleek silver watch gleamed under the fluorescent light. Unique, custom-made. Only one kind existed in their entire corporation. Zayden knew it instantly. It belonged to his own cousin, and one of Helios Corp's board members, Adil Halim. A man who had always smiled too politely. A man who had always wanted Zayden's power. A man who had always said, one day, all of this should be mine. Zayden's fists tightened until his knuckles turned white. Adil had tried to kill him, and Aroiz, an innocent single father, was suffering for it. Rafik's voice trembled. Sir, should we alert the authorities? Zayden's jaw worked silently, fury pulsing through his veins. No, he said finally. If Adil planned this, he has people in the police too. If he knows we've discovered him, he'll disappear before morning. Rafik nodded nervously. Then what will you do? Zayden's eyes flicked back to Aroiz, then to the tiny girl curled beside him. Everything I must. 2 hours later, after doctors confirmed that Aroiz was stable but unconscious, Zayden took Hania to the waiting lounge to rest. She clung to his coat, refusing to let go. Uncle Zayden, will Baba wake up tonight? She whispered. He knelt down to her height. His voice softened, something it never did. I don't know, sweetheart. But I promise you this, he's trying very hard. She nodded, tears gathering in her eyes. Can I stay here? Yes. She took his hand again, so small it almost disappeared inside his. You won't leave us? She asked quietly. Zayden blinked, stunned by her words.
Us. As if he was already part of them.
He swallowed, voice rough.
No.
I won't. She nodded again, trusting him completely, and it shook something inside him. While Hania slept curled up on the hospital bench, Zayden made another phone call. This time to his personal investigator, the only man he trusted fully. Find everything you can on Adil, Zayden said. Every bank transaction, every secret meeting, every suspicious loan, every private security hire. The investigator exhaled sharply. Sir, that's a war. It's not a war, Zayden said quietly. It's justice. For the man who saved me, and for the child who's sleeping alone. He hung up. For once, the CEO didn't look like a cold-hearted billionaire. He looked like a man who finally had someone to protect. At dawn, the doctor came in again. Zayden and Hania rushed to Aroiz's bedside. He's still unconscious, the doctor said, but his vitals are improving. He might wake up in a few hours. Zayden felt relief crash into him like a wave. Hania smiled with pure joy. Baba's strong, she whispered proudly, kissing her father's hand. He promised he'll never leave me. Zayden turned away before she could see the moisture gathering in his eyes. Aroiz had survived the bullet. But would he survive what came after? Would he survive learning the truth, that he was never meant to be a hero? He was simply collateral damage in a power game inside the company he served? Later, as the sun rose and painted the city golden, Zayden made one final decision. He walked back to the ICU, stood by Aroiz's bed, and spoke quietly. I owe you a life. I owe you more than that. And I'm going to destroy the man who did this to you. I won't let them ruin your daughter's future. Or yours. He exhaled slowly, eyes full of determination. You saved me, but you have no idea how much I'm going to change your life now. Behind him, Hania tightened her small arms around her stuffed rabbit, watching the CEO with sleepy eyes. For the first time, she felt safe. And for the first time, Zayden felt responsible for someone other than himself. But neither of them knew. The real fight, the real betrayal, was just waking up. When a wounded man opened his eyes, the whole truth bled through with him. The bullet didn't kill him, but the betrayal waiting outside might. Some awakenings bring hope. Others bring wars. A single dad fought to live, but what he woke up to would change everything. He saved the CEO's life. Now, he must save his own. The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor was the first thing Aroiz Malik heard as consciousness slowly dragged him upward. Not lights. Not voices. Just the steady, stubborn sound of survival. His eyelids twitched, heavy as stone, before finally fluttering open. White ceiling.
Pale lights.
The sterile scent of antiseptic. A hospital.
His throat felt dry.
His chest burned in agony. Memories flashed in blurry, fragmented images. The gun, the flash of metal, the CEO's shocked face, and then darkness swallowing everything. But then, a small, warm hand wrapped around his fingers. Baba. Our eyes turned his head slowly. And there she was. His daughter. His world. His reason to live. Little Hania, eyes red from crying, but glowing with a joy so pure it made his breath hitch. You came back, she whispered, climbing off the chair to hug him gently. You kept your promise. Our eyes closed his eyes as a tear slipped down his cheek. Of course, he rasped. How could I leave my brave girl? She giggled softly, the sweetest sound in the universe. But then her gaze shifted behind him. Our eyes followed her eyes. Standing at the door, tall, exhausted, yet composed, was CEO Zayden Halim. His shirt sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, dark circles under his eyes. A man who hadn't slept the entire night. A man who shouldn't have been there. Our eyes tried to sit up, grimacing in pain. Zayden raised a hand. Don't move. The doctor said you need rest. Our eyes frowned. Sir, why are you here? This is my personal matter. No, Zayden interrupted quietly. This is my responsibility. Hania blinked. Uncle Zayden stayed with me all night, she said proudly. He brought me here. Our eyes froze. The CEO, the billionaire he had jumped in front of, stayed with his daughter? Sir, you didn't have to. Zayden stepped forward. You took a bullet meant for me. I will not pretend that's normal. And I will not ignore what it cost you and your daughter. Our eyes swallowed, overwhelmed. You saved my life, Zayden continued, lowering his voice. And now, I'm going to protect yours. The words hit our eyes harder than the bullet did. But before he could ask what that meant, the doctor walked in. You're awake, she smiled. That's remarkable. You're stable now, but you'll need weeks of recovery. No work. No stress. Strict rest. Our eyes stiffened. No work? No income? He was already behind on rent. Who would pay the bills? Feed his child? Keep her in school? The doctor left, but panic had already begun rising in his chest. Hania noticed. Baba? Why do you look scared? Our eyes forced a smile. I'm okay, princess. But Zayden saw the truth. He waited until Hania went to wash her hands, then pulled a chair close. Our eyes, he said calmly but with authority. Listen to me carefully. While you recover, I'll take care of everything. Our eyes blinked. Sir, what? Your rent. Your medical bills. Your daughter's school fee. Anything you need. No, sir. Our eyes whispered, mortified. I can't accept that. You can, Zayden said. Because I'm not offering charity. I'm offering justice. Our eyes frowned. Justice? For what? Zayden's eyes darkened. The kind of darkness that meant truth, dangerous, unforgiving truth. You weren't supposed to get hurt, Zayden said. I was. Our eyes swallowed hard. Sir, what are you saying? The man who attacked me wasn't acting alone, Zayden said. Someone powerful sent him. Our eyes' blood ran cold. And we found footage, Zayden added. Your shooting wasn't random. It was orchestrated. And you, unknowingly, became part of a conspiracy against me. Our eyes' heartbeat spiked. Who? Zayden exhaled sharply. My cousin. A deal. Our eyes stared at him, stunned. Betrayal within the family? Within the company? I can't go public yet, Zayden continued. Not until I gather more evidence. If we move too soon, he'll escape justice. Our eyes clenched his jaw. Sir, if I'm a liability. You're not, Zayden said, cutting him off. You're the reason I'm alive. Our eyes lowered his eyes, emotion flooding through him. Zayden leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper. And I swear on everything I have, I will not let the man who hurt you walk free. Our eyes nodded slowly. But then he whispered, Sir, what if they come back? Zayden's jaw tightened. They won't. How can you be sure? Because, Zayden said, and there was something unshakable in his tone. I've already put protection around you. Ari's brows furrowed. Protection?
Yes.
2 guards outside your ward. Another at your building. And I've moved your daughter's school route under surveillance. Ari's breath caught. Sir, that's too much. It's not enough, Zayden snapped. Then he softened. Not for what you've done. Ari's looked away, overwhelmed. He wasn't used to someone fighting for him, especially not someone like Zayden. Sir, he whispered, why go this far? Zayden hesitated. Then he turned to look at Hania, who was humming softly while fixing Mr. Bun's torn ear. For her, he said quietly, no child should ever face danger because of a war she doesn't know exists. Ari's eyes burned. Zayden wasn't just a CEO tonight. He was a man stepping into a fight he could have ignored, but didn't. And in that moment, something shifted.
Trust. Respect.
A bond neither of them planned for. But just as the room seemed to settle with warmth, a nurse ran in, breathless. Sir, there's a problem. Both men looked up sharply. What happened? Zayden demanded. The nurse swallowed hard. The security guards you posted outside, they've disappeared. Zayden's blood ran ice cold. Ari's hand tightened around the bedrail. And little Hania looked up confused. Because danger, real danger, had just walked back into the hospital. Heroes don't choose the war. Sometimes the war chooses them. The night he woke up was the same night danger returned. One man saved the CEO. Now the CEO must save an entire family. The bullet didn't kill him, but the truth might. When all guards disappear, only courage remains. For one terrifying heartbeat, the hospital ward fell silent. The nurse stood at the door, chest rising and falling rapidly. The guards you assigned, they're gone. Vanished. CEO Zayden Halim didn't blink. Vanished how? We don't know, the nurse whispered. They were there an hour ago. Now the hallway cameras show nothing. Ari's felt his stomach twist. Sir, does that mean? Yes. Zayden's voice dropped to a lethal coldness. They're here. Hania clutched her father's hand, sensing the fear. Baba, what's happening? Ari's swallowed hard, forcing his voice steady. Nothing will happen to you. Not while I'm here. Zayden stepped forward, his presence a shield. Not while we're here. He pulled out his phone, fingers moving with steel precision. Lockdown protocol. Now. Within seconds, the hospital alarms blared. Doors snapped shut. Security lights flashed red. But deep down, Zayden knew it was too late. Adil had finally made his move. Heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. Not rushed. Not panicked.
Slow.
Intentional. Footsteps of a man who believed he had already won. Zayden stood at the door, refusing to let fear weaken him. Our eyes tried to sit up despite the pain, but Zayden raised a hand.
No.
You protect your daughter. I'll protect all of you. Our eyes stared. Sir, he's your cousin. Yes, Zayden said. And that's exactly why I know how far he'll go. The door suddenly creaked. A tall figure stepped inside. Designer suit. Perfectly styled hair. Smiling like the situation was a joke. Adil Halim. Zayden, Adil said softly. Why cause trouble? This could have ended quietly. Zayden moved in front of the hospital bed instinctively. You mean quietly killing me? Or killing the man who saved my life? Adil sighed dramatically. That was unfortunate. A shame, really. His eyes flicked to our eyes. Poor man was just standing in the wrong place. Our eyes' blood boiled. I have a daughter, he whispered. You nearly left her orphaned. Adil smiled coldly. Collateral damage. Hania hid behind her father, clutching his gown. Zayden's voice turned razor-sharp. You touched the wrong people. Adil shrugged. And you're becoming a sentimental fool. The board wants you gone. The company belongs to me now. You're just delaying the inevitable. You tried to murder me, Zayden hissed. And you almost killed a child's father. Business, Adil said simply. The world is cruel, cousin. It is, Zayden agreed. But tonight, I'm crueler. Adil laughed. You and what army? Zayden stared at him. I don't need an army. He pointed behind Adil. You walked into a trap. Adil frowned, just as lights burst on, and 2 hospital guards tackled him from behind. Before he could react, they pinned him to the floor. Adil thrashed. You can't do this. I own the board. I own the police. I own. You own nothing, Zayden said coldly. Every piece of evidence is already on its way to the authorities you don't control. Adil screamed. It's not over. Zayden stepped closer, eyes burning. For you, it is. The guards dragged Adil out of the ward as he cursed, screamed, and threatened. And then silence. For the first time since the shooting, real, peaceful silence. Our eyes sagged back against the pillows, trembling from the adrenaline. He looked at the CEO, this powerful, cold man who had risked his own life just now for a single father and his little girl. Sir, he whispered, voice breaking. Why would you fight for me? I'm nobody. Zayden turned to him slowly. You're not nobody. He glanced at Hania, who watched him with wide, scared eyes. You're her entire world, Zayden continued. And you became my shield. I owe you more than a medal. I owe you a life. Our eyes blinked rapidly, overcome. Hania tugged on the CEO's sleeve. Uncle Zayden, is the bad man gone? Zayden crouched in front of her, his voice softening. Yes, little warrior. He'll never hurt your Baba again. Promise? She whispered. Zayden placed a hand over his heart. I swear. She nodded, trusting him completely, and leaned against him in a small hug. Zayden froze, not expecting it, then slowly wrapped an arm around her tiny shoulders. Our eyes watched them, tears slipping down silently. His daughter had never trusted anyone this fast, except him. And now, Zayden. Days passed. Our eyes' recovery accelerated. The doctors called it determination. Zayden called it fatherhood. The case against Adil exploded across headlines. Shareholders applauded Zayden's strength. The company praised the hero who saved their CEO. Then one evening, as the sun spilled warm gold across the hospital room, Zayden arrived with a small envelope. Our eyes, he said, handing it over. This is for you. Inside was a letter, official, stamped. Our eyes read it slowly and froze. Sir, this is a full-time senior security position at HQ, Zayden said. Housing allowance. Health benefits. A stable life for your daughter. Our eyes stared at him, stunned beyond words. Sir, I don't deserve. You deserve everything, Zayden said gently. You didn't just save my life. You reminded me what loyalty looks like. Hania rushed in, hugging her father. Baba, does that mean we don't have to move again? Our eyes kissed her hair. Yes, my love. We're safe now. Then she turned to Zayden. Uncle, will we still see you? Zayden felt something soften in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. Yes, he said quietly. You're stuck with me now. Hania giggled and hugged him again. And in that moment, something unspoken formed between the three of them, a bond forged in danger, sealed in loyalty, and strengthened by love that had no name yet, but was already changing all their lives. Because one bullet tried to break them, but instead, it built a family,